There was a hidden village of humans in the great verdant forest known as the Celestial Forest. This village had a sacred staff used to create a barrier that protected the village from threats with its power. The successor of the staff at the time was Ibe, who had an older brother Ningersu and her childhood friend Aurum and his pet dragon Imduk. One day, Ibe suddenly vanished without any explanation. Ningersu left to search for his missing sister as well, while Imduk went with Aurum to explore the mysterious woods where Ibe disappeared. Since then, both of them have become lost within the Celestial Forest one after the other. Ibe, who slipped deep into the forest, saw what looked like a massive structure of sorts. Her friends caught up to her, and together they approached the structure. A small fairy appeared before them. She introduced herself as the caretaker of the facility, and told them that the structure was called the Gemstone Castle. She also explained that it was a fortress built by the ancient civilization, which had been constructed from a massive amount of gemstones all fused together. And then she told her that they have qualities to become like the Avengers and told them to save the world or something. As the story progressed, the group would eventually face off against the terrifying demon called the Dangerous Deity, who had been born from the hatred between the human race and the mechanistic race. Thereafter they would be forced into battle against the Mech Knight Bishop, who was the most powerful of the 7 knights. And then the Mech Knights abducted Ibe. They disappeared into thin air, leaving Aurum and the others stunned at what happened.
It doesn't make sense. Like this whole entire script, it's not like we're enemies or anything. I don't get why they'd do something like that.
Imduk, who had been kept under close watch by the Mech Knight Bishop and his subordinates, began to fear for his own life. However, he was comforted by the presence of the tiny dragon whelp who had accompanied him. The little dragon whelp was named Imduk, and it was clear that he had been trained by the older dragon. After a long journey and much searching, they arrived at the ruins of a long-lost civilization that the Mech Knights had made their stronghold. However, before they could leave, the Mech Knight ruler showed up with a massive army, and the party was forced to fight back. Lee proposed a plan to them.
I will use the stolen sacred staff of Ib to summon forth the legendary hero of the past, the legendary hero of the solar system, the solar dragon.
But then Lee took over Ibe's body and turned themselves into Ibe Lee. The Mech Knights were too busy to deal with her because they are in the middle of battle, so they called upon the help of the other 6 knights to finish off the lone intruder and ensure the safety of their fortress. To their shock, they found out that the intruders were none other than the legendary heroes of the past, the Solar Dragons. Ibe Lee took the Mech Knight cause, and Blue Skies telling a young teenage boy to save the world like those other teens in shonen animes. Aurum is now a key holder, and the key became imbued with a different type of power, one that would grant the wielder the ability to call forth the legends of the past to aid his allies. And then Ibe Lee turned the cause into funny animals. While Ningersu deals with them, Aurum chases after Ibe Lee. By this time, the power of the sacred staff had taken over the minds of the remaining members of the party, and they were being controlled by the staff. Ibe Lee tried to kill Aurum, but Imduk barks at her, making Ibe's soul came out of her and made her want to stab herself. Realizing she was at the verge of death, she had to say this one last word.
Adios.
Who the fuck wrote this script?
The successor of the staff at the time was Ibe, who had an older brother Ningersu and her childhood friend Aurum and his pet dragon Imduk. The 3 of them lived happily until one day, Ibe fell into a sudden fever. The doctors determined that she would not survive. He tried to find other ways, but found only Aurum crying alone in sorrow.